There's a silent movement happening right now in the quiet solitude of living rooms all across the country. It's not a protest you'll see on the news, but it's a rebellion nonetheless. It's the story of men like Robert, a 58-year-old architect who, after years of trying, finally canceled his last dating app subscription. But it wasn't an act of defeat. It was an act of liberation. He is part of a growing, unseen exodus of older men who are looking at the landscape of modern dating and making a radical choice. They are opting out. They are deliberately choosing to be single. For a generation raised on the idea that success meant finding a partner, this is a profound shift. Why are men who have built careers, raised families, and achieved stability suddenly walking away from romance altogether? The reasons aren't just about being set in their ways. The truth is they've looked at the game, calculated the odds, and realized the prize is no longer worth the price of admission. The story of why reveals a shocking portrait of the modern dating world. For many of these men, the first and final straw is the world of online dating itself. What was promised as a gateway to connection has become, for them, a digital meat grinder. It's a brutal, exhausting, swipe left, swipe right hellscape that functions less like a community and more like a stock market where your value is determined by a few carefully selected photos and a witty bio that took hours to craft. They describe the experience as a second job, one you don't get paid for, and where your performance is constantly under review. The pressure is immense. To be charming but not desperate, confident but not arrogant, responsive but not needy. It's a game with ever-changing rules played on a field designed for a younger generation. But this isn't just about a technology gap, it's a rejection of the entire premise. They're tired of being reduced to a commodity, of competing in a superficial marketplace where genuine connection feels all but impossible. The constant judgment, the ghosting, the endless messaging that leads nowhere, it's a recipe for burnout. So they are logging off not because they can't figure out the app, but because they've figured out the game and they refuse to play a dehumanizing system any longer. But this digital exhaustion is often just the surface layer of a much deeper reluctance, one rooted in the ghosts of their past. Beneath the frustration with modern dating lies a landscape of deep, emotional scar tissue. Many of these men are veterans of devastating relationship wars. They've survived the financial and emotional wreckage of a bitter divorce, the profound betrayal of infidelity, or the soul-crushing grief of losing a spouse they spent a lifetime with. These experiences don't just fade with time, they leave behind invisible wounds. The idea of opening up again, of making oneself vulnerable to another person, feels less like a romantic prospect and more like willingly walking back onto a battlefield where they were once severely injured. There's a constant fear of history repeating itself. For the widower, a new partner can feel like a betrayal of their late wife's memory, a ghost that sits at the dinner table with them, making true connection impossible. For the divorce, the trust that was shattered may never be fully repaired. They've built high emotional walls to protect what's left of their heart, and the thought of tearing them down for a stranger they met online feels like an act of madness. They've already played and lost in the highest stakes game of all, and they have absolutely no desire to risk it all again. And even if they could overcome the emotional hurdles, a cold, hard calculation often stops them dead in their tracks. That calculation is a financial one. For an older man who has spent decades building a career, a home, and a nest egg, the prospect of a new serious relationship comes with a terrifying risk. They don't just see a potential partner, they see a potential plaintiff. After surviving one financially ruinous divorce, the thought of facing that process again is paralyzing. It's like staring at a financial guillotine, knowing that one wrong move could cleave their life's work in two. The specter of alimony, the nightmare of dividing assets, the legal fees that drain savings, it's a horror show they refuse to watch a second time. This isn't about being ungenerous or selfish. It's a pragmatic defense mechanism born from painful experience. On top of that, many are already saddled with significant financial obligations. They are supporting aging parents, helping adult children navigate a tough economy, or still paying for the consequences of a past marriage. Their resources are already stretched thin. The high cost of dating dinners, trips, gifts feels like an extravagance they can neither afford nor justify. When you weigh the quiet stability of financial independence against the massive, potentially catastrophic risk of a new commitment, the choice becomes brutally clear. Peace of mind looks a lot more attractive than a shared bank account. Beyond this financial deficit, many men are confronting a different kind of crisis altogether. It's a personal energy crisis. The simple truth is, the demands of modern dating require a level of physical and emotional energy that many older men no longer possess or are willing to expend. The drama, the mind games, the constant need to be on and entertaining, it's utterly exhausting. After a long week of work or a day spent managing life's responsibilities, the idea of spending an evening making small talk with a stranger, hoping for a spark, feels less like an opportunity and more like a chore. This is compounded by the physical realities of aging. Chronic health conditions like heart disease, diabetes, or arthritis can make socializing a genuine physical challenge. Then there's the elephant in every room, sexual performance anxiety. As men get older, physical changes are a natural part of life, but in the context of dating, they can become a source of profound dread and humiliation. The pressure to perform, combined with the potential for embarrassment, makes intimacy a minefield. For many, it's easier to avoid the field altogether than to risk stepping on a landmine. They are making a logical choice: to conserve their limited energy for things that bring them joy and peace, rather than spending it on a pursuit that so often leads to pressure, anxiety, and disappointment. But this retreat isn't just about avoiding the negative. It's about a powerful pull toward a new kind of positive. What many outsiders fail to see is that these men aren't retreating into an empty, lonely void. They are advancing into a life of quiet, stable fulfillment. They are discovering a profound sense of peace that doesn't depend on the validation of a romantic partner. This is the great discovery, the joy of self-reliance. That energy they once might have spent on dating is now being invested in themselves. They are rediscovering old hobbies like fishing or golf that bring them a simple, uncomplicated pleasure. They are pouring their passion into new business ventures or finally writing that book they always dreamed of. They are finding a deep sense of purpose in volunteering at an animal shelter or mentoring younger people. And most importantly, they are forging deeper, more meaningful bonds with their adult children and grandchildren. The emotional fulfillment they get from seeing their family grow provides a richness that, for them, far outweighs the chaotic ups and downs of romance. They are learning that happiness doesn't have to come from a couple. It can come from a quiet morning with a good book, a round of golf with a friend, or the laughter of a grandchild. They are not just opting out of dating, they are opting into a life that is peaceful, purposeful, and entirely on their own terms. This leads to the final, most radical realization of all. These men are not giving up on life or love. They are fundamentally redefining what it means to win. For their entire lives, society handed them a script that said a successful life culminates in finding and keeping a partner. A happy ending was a romantic one, but they are tearing up that script and writing a new one. In this new script, the prize isn't companionship at any cost. The new prize is autonomy, it's freedom, it's peace. They have looked at the turmoil of the modern dating scene, the emotional scars of their past, the financial risks of the future, and the sheer exhaustion of the effort, and they've made a conscious decision to choose themselves. They are rejecting the societal pressure that says a single man is an incomplete man. So, is this a quiet tragedy? Is it the sad final chapter for a generation of men left behind by a changing world? Or is it something else entirely? Perhaps it's a revolutionary act of self-preservation. Perhaps it's the beginning of a new kind of freedom, one where a man's worth is not measured by who he is with, but by the peace he has built for himself.